I'm Sophie Alexander of the Nutritional Wellness Center of Ithaca, and I'm excited to be on Facebook Live with you here today, talking more about the immune system, right? Um, yeah, it has been such a crazy time with everything going on with this pandemic, and I find that talking about immunity and helping people actually understand their immunity better is an incredibly empowering thing that I can do as a nutritionist for folks to know what they actually can do to take care of themselves during this time and to lessen the amount of fear that is going on about wellness and about health and about immunity in general. And there is a lot of confusion about the immune system and how it actually works or what makes up immunity. And so I know last week we were talking more about digestive health and the huge role that the gut plays in immunity. And so today I want to talk more about an important gland called the thymus gland that also plays a role in what I call the immune alliance, right? And that's not my own created statement. That's something I borrowed from another practitioner, but because it is an alliance that our body has between our digestive health and our thymus gland and our liver and our spleen and our lymphatic system that really plays a role about how we develop immunity and how our body responds and how well it responds to the plethora of things that we are exposed to on a regular basis, and what role we can take with our lifestyle and with our nutritional health to really be proactive about building that immunity, and because it is absolutely something that you can do something about. And so I find that not many people know on a regular when I'm talking to them in practice and seeing them for appointments, really don't know much about the thymus gland. It's a little bit more of a mysterious gland in terms of its role in immunity and its part in the also playing a part with our endocrine system, our hormone system. So thymus is located about here, right? So it's just behind the sternum. It's quite small. It's a specialized primary, what they call lymphoid organ of the immune system. And it is, a lot of people know that it's more active as we're younger. So it's bigger. It's actually bigger when you're a baby and a child. And it's the most active at that time. And then as we get older, it does shrink. And by in our 20s, it's a lot smaller. And I'll talk more about that in terms of how that plays a role with our long-term health and what the thymus does in the body. So within the thymus, it does release at least 4 hormones. And it's where our T cells, which are a big critical part of the immune response, where they go to mature. And so the T cells, they play a huge role of helping the adaptive immune system and helping the body to adapt to foreign invaders and the process that happens to create antibodies. So T cells, they actively kill invaders, and they enhance immunity when immunity needs to be enhanced and suppress immunity when immunity needs to be suppressed. Speaking more, in the role of how things develop with autoimmune disease or with allergies. And then the T cells help our antibody producing cells recognize antibody targets, and so play a big role in developing that antibody response. And so by the time we reach puberty, the T cells, all of our T cells have been made by and activated by the thymus and matured in the thymus and have gone to lymph node sites where they play their role. And so that's how it goes. The T cells go to the thymus to mature, and then they migrate to the lymph nodes. And so while there's a lot of people dismiss the thymus too as you get older, saying, oh gosh, well, by the time you're 50, your thymus is 15% of the size that it was when you were a child. Oh, it's not that important. It's done all of its work when you were a child, and it's no longer a very relevant player in the body's immune health. I disagree. From a nutritional perspective, I see all sorts of things manifest with the thymus gland, particularly doing my work of nutrition response testing, where I actually have a way of checking in on glands and organ systems and asking about their vitality, and making sure that there aren't any nutritional deficiencies or ways that the body is struggling with that area. And so I find it plays a significant long-term role in people's overall health, and particularly how resilient folks are as they get older to fighting off colds, viruses, infection. And that particularly there are ways to support it nutritionally, and thus key to in terms of optimal health and having robust health. So one sign I get feedback from about how well the body's doing with its antibody production, things like that, is if people get colds and those colds or infections, they last for 7 days or longer, then that's feedback to me that the antibody production is not at full strength, and the body needs more support in enhancing that for overall health. And so I see the thymus show up in nutrition response testing, particularly if someone deals with a lot of recurrent illnesses, finds they get like every cold that comes around. I see it show up with small children, particularly small children prone to lots of ear infections and things like that. Then I apologize. I'm getting distracted by technology here, so I'm trying to make sure that the notes are running correctly and that I am following everything here on the screen. But yeah, so I see it show up with small children because, gosh, so much of healthy thymus development and the development of that gland is, during pregnancy. And so the role of nutrition, optimal nutrition through pregnancy, then affects how that child is born with their immune response. And then, of course, how the child eats and how it's supported during those really formative years where the thymus is doing such an important job. I find that children who are recurrently ill get every cold that goes around school, or, as I was saying earlier, get a lot of ear infections. The thymus reflex shows up, and we need to support it. We need to help actually repair and rebuild it, because even at that young age, it's struggling and it's not doing its job properly. And then I see it show up in situations of autoimmunity as well. Say if someone's diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid gland. Often the thymus shows up as that whole interaction of how the immune system is responding, but also how the endocrine system is responding. So supporting the thymus gland, and especially in acute situations and acute exposures, is one of the amazing reasons why the formula from Standard Process called Conjuplex works so incredibly well. Conjuplex contains carrots, it contains alfalfa, it contains mushrooms, contains echinacea, and it contains calcium, which all provide key nutrients and minerals that are needed during the acute inflammation being caused by the virus or the bacteria. And Conjuplex also contains cellular extracts of the thymus gland in terms of helping it to support its role in immunity and immune system response. So I love Conjuplex. I love it right now for people to be just taking as a baseline, lower dose, just to be fortifying themselves and supporting themselves during this time when there's just a lot of fear and uncertainty about exposure and how the body is going to respond with the coronavirus that's going around. But then when things are more acute you start to feel ill, or something more severe is coming on, then lots and lots of complexes is the answer. You can take 2 every hour, and really high doses are what's needed to help the body correctly, mount a response and recover quickly. In more chronic situations or long-term situations, I really like a formula called Thymus PMG, which is a special formula developed by Standard Process. The PMG stands for protomorphogen, and it really it's a cellular extract of Thymus gland that helps specifically repair and rebuild the Thymus gland. And so that's one that I use clinically in more chronic situations, like the situation I was describing, autoimmune disease, or folks who are getting ill recurrently, regularly, because it means that something is not correctly responding in the body. Because a true sign of health and a correct immune response is that, yes, occasionally you do get ill. That is normal and that is healthy. It's the body's constantly building in its immunity and its awareness of everything that you've been exposed to over your lifespan. But what happens if illness is prolonged, or it's very severe, and in terms of what you're feeling in terms of symptoms, then that's feedback from the body that nutritionally it's struggling and we need to help it. So with both of these products, of course, it's always important to check with a qualified healthcare professional to make sure it's appropriate for you and if it's the right application of it. And so at this time, with all this uncertainty and all this unknown, it's a time that I really encourage you, if you are an active client, to share the resource of my work and of Nutritional Wellness Center with them, because people are desperate for answers. There's just so much false information on the internet, and there's not a lot of hope being offered right now about what can be done so that we can take care of ourselves, and that we can, if we do get this coronavirus that is around, and then that we can have a mild response to it, right? And be vibrant and be well overall. So I am working with folks virtually. It's a really new opportunity. Like, I loved it. A client just referred to me a friend who she had been talking to me about for a long time, who lives over in Poughkeepsie, and was like, I want this person to work with you, but I don't know how they can. Well, now he can, because we did a consult over Zoom today. So it's really wonderful to have these new opportunities to connect with different people and reach more people. And so please share this resource widely with friends and family, and offer them that hope. And for yourself, I hope you find this information helpful, just to further, if you're a client, I'm saying, to take this information and apply it to your own program and really optimize things further here for yourself. So thank you for joining me today. I thought I'd be a little quicker in what I was sharing today, a little bit more brief and to the point. I appreciate all of those who have been watching my Facebook Lives and been sticking with me through the technical difficulties and when they've been longer. So don't hesitate. We'll be checking the comments if you have questions, or if you're wondering more about how you can apply this. You can also contact the office. And just wishing you all a beautiful day. Great. Goodbye.